Showing us in the 7-day outlook, this rain is going to be around for quite some time. So get used to it. Pack the umbrella, especially if you're trying to go out for lunch or something like that, thinking you're going to have an easy dry walk there. Not happening.
Hey, believe me, if you're caught in that once, you will never forget that umbrella again.
Exactly.
It's going to be surgically attached to you.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
You're right. We're going to need it. But I think what it is we're not that used to this kind of weather activity here.
Yeah.
We are very used to other types of disasters. We're even prepared for an earthquake, a wildfire, drought, of course, we're used to. But to have this kind of rain for this long and the thunder showers, I think we still find it surprising every time because really, in the past few years, we've had a lacking of this.
Exactly,
right?
and hence the major drought that we're in, although we have been getting some reports that that drought stage is improving because of all the rain that we've been receiving. Like you said, Kristen, I think a lot of folks have just been startled by the thunder. I've seen, so many people tweeting me and saying, okay, the rain, we've gotten used to it across the Bay Area, but the thunder is what really gets folks' attention.
Yes.
And even the lightning strikes that we've seen too.
You are right, and it certainly is also dangerous, but we do get used to, things start to shake. You kind of go, oh, it's an earthquake, okay. And then you hear you see the lightning, hear the thunder, and it just jolts you so much that I was about to take cover. And that's when I started shooting some video. And yeah, it's been wild out there, absolutely wild. Oh, Spencer, Christian, still watching all this?
I was smiling because I was watching that hail video and I was thinking it looks really cool, but at the same time, hailstones can be damaging. They can hurt you, they can injure you, and they can be very large and shatter windows. So right now, I think what we were looking at there was fairly harmless, just interesting to look at. You two were talking about the 7 days ahead. I'm going to show you this right now before I even get into current conditions. Whoops. I guess I skipped ahead of my own graphics. Let me show you the 7-day forecast because, as you pointed out, we're not really getting a break. Level 2 storm is with us today, another level 2 tomorrow. Thursday, it's sort of a light storm, likely to produce showers mainly in the North Bay. So some parts of the Bay Area, many parts of the Bay Area, may actually see some sunlight on Sunday. But on Friday, another little heavier system comes in and another level 2 storm on Saturday. So there really is no break here. This pattern, this relentless pattern, is going to remain with us for a while. Looking at the satellite radar composite image, once again, looping over the last 12 hours, you can see it's been wave after wave after wave. So as soon as one area of storminess moves through or a pocket of thunderstorms moves through and we think, okay, now we got a little break, another batch forms offshore and moves on again, and that will continue. Look at this, a whole lineup of lightning strikes, not only just offshore, but moving onshore into Marin County right now, just north of the Golden Gate. Wow, through Mill Valley, San Rafael, and moving eastward over towards Richmond. It's going to be quite stormy there over the next probably half hour or longer. So let's take a look at our forecast headlines. It'll be rainy and windy this evening with possible thunderstorms. Elevated concerns, obviously, for flooding, mudslides, downed trees, all those impacts that accompany storms like this. And another level 2 storm arrives tomorrow, as I pointed out. A flood watch is still in effect for the entire Bay Area. Some areas harder hit than others, but the threat of flooding is everywhere right now until 4 p.m. And as I mentioned earlier, it's entirely possible with the weather that is to follow what we have right now that this watch could be extended by the National Weather Service. So we'll keep an eye out for that. So just to recap this storm on the exclusive ABC7 storm impact scale, this is a level 2 moderate storm through the afternoon and now into the evening. Scattered downpours, could be really heavy at times. Thunderstorms are still possible as there's a lot of instability in the atmosphere. Gusty winds from time to time, not maybe so prevalent as they were earlier in the day, but whenever we have one of these downpours or a thunderstorm, it certainly could be accompanied by sudden wind gusts, possible hail, flood threat, downed trees. All those concerns remain with us. Forecast animation starting at 3 p.m. And notice the areas of stormy weather will be more widely scattered, not so tightly, compactly concentrated as they have been earlier in the day, but that threat remains with us. Get into the nighttime hours, the threat should diminish just a bit for thunderstorms and for any continuous downpours because the storm will appear of the Rainfall estimates by 11 o'clock tomorrow evening should be up to nearly an inch here in San Francisco. Lower totals down on the peninsula and around the Bay shoreline and over into the East Bay. But up in the North Bay, looks like some really serious rainfall totals there. An inch and a third at Novato, and nearly 2.5 at Santa Rosa. And all these locations will receive quite a bit more rain than other regions of the Bay Area. And our long-range forecast animation looks like this, starting 11 o'clock tonight as our current storm departs. The next storm starts to move in just as the morning commute is getting underway tomorrow, and that's going to bring us some significant rainfall as well. It's another level 2 storm, so it's going to be just as impactful in some ways as today's storm was. We get a little bit of a break on Thursday as a little frontal system swings through the North Bay. It may trigger some light rain or showers there. It's not likely that other parts of the Bay Area will get additional rain on Thursday, so we'll probably see some sunny breaks on Thursday. But Friday, another wave of rain comes through, and that'll be followed by an even stronger level 2 storm on Saturday. So the hits just keep on coming, so to speak. Winter storm warning remains in effect in the Sierra until 4 p.m. today. Snow levels around lake level start at 5,000 feet, and they may rise. Some milder air may move in there, causing the snow levels to rise. 10 to 20 inches of snow expected right now, additional snow, 2 to 4 feet in the highest peaks, and there may be gusts in those higher elevations up to about 70 miles an hour. Once again, just so you get the big picture of what may be coming our way, or what is coming our way, level 2 storm is with us now, followed by another level 2 storm tomorrow. Thursday looks like will be the day of the lightest storm activity, and it may be confined mainly to the North Bay. Friday, a level 1 system. Saturday, a level 2 storm, another moderate storm coming in with rain and wind with similar features to what we've had today and what we expect tomorrow. And then back to level 1 storms on Sunday and Monday. The next 7 days are still going to be stormy days, adding to all the concerns about flooding, mudsliding, rock sliding, power outages, down to trees, driving conditions. It's just a very concerning AccuWeather 7-day forecast.
Thank you, Spencer. As you said, the hits just keep on coming here.
Yep.
All right.
All right. We do want to share with you some videos shot by our partner, SF Standard. If you take that full, you'll see on the left side, there's that crane, and it keeps getting struck by lightning. Or they shot video of that. Take a look. See that crane? The tallest metal object that's sticking up? Yep, that's where the lightning likes to go, right?
Absolutely.
And this is over the Central Freeway in San Francisco, shot by Jesse Rogala, who you've seen on Getting Answers at 3. He's one of the reporters with our media partner, the San Francisco Standard. Ooh, just one of the many dozens of lightning that's hit in San Francisco just in the last couple of hours.
Yeah, if you have been in San Francisco, like you mentioned, in the last 2 hours or so, you have likely seen lightning out there because it has been happening in rapid succession. If you actually look behind us at Live Doppler 7, you see those little lightning bolts. I mean, they're not just there for fun. Those are confirmed lightning strikes, so it keeps happening.
But after the showers pass, you know what you get?
What's that?
Our Liz Kreitz captured it.
Uh-oh.
Wait for it. It's worth it.
Ooh.
Oh, well, not this part.
This sounds like it looks like the thick of it. Here.
This is the thick of it. I think our producer and I have our wires crossed. Okay, you got to wait for it. You got to get through this in order to get to the next thing.
I'm waiting for the payoff here.
That's not the payoff.
There we go. A double rainbow. How about that? I think we all deserve seeing a double rainbow.
Right?
Pretty much all across the Bay Area at this point. As we've just been, soaked for the last 2 weeks now.
Yeah, and this is almost like a tropical pattern, Spencer, right? You get the downpour, and then minutes later, they move out, and you get the rainbow.
It's like what you expect sometimes in South Florida or in Hawaii even.
Yes.
Except it's a little chillier here than it would be in those locations, but the personality of the storm is about the same.
We'll just think warm thoughts, Spencer. We'll think warm thoughts right about now. Let's see if we can get to this picture. We've been dancing with it for quite some time of the press conference we expect to happen in Capitola with Governor Gavin Newsom in just a moment. We actually have a stable shot to show you. And this is the central area in Capitola that has just been really hit hard by these intense storms that have been rolling through over and over again. Thinking about the rest restaurants down there. Mai Tai Beach that's been flooded. Tacos Moreno 3 that's been flooded. And San Jose Avenue just been covered with debris for quite some time. You can see some crews there doing some cleanup. I mean, restaurants like Zelda's on the beach, actually a large structure, a piece of wood from the Capitola wharf fell down onto Zelda's on the beach. So there is some serious damage and cleanup that'll take quite some time to get together. Governor Gavin Newsom, as you know, declared a state of emergency across the state of California almost a week ago on January the 4th to free up some funds and also get crews stationed where they need to be to respond as quickly as possible for this just rapid onslaught of winter storms that we've been dealing with I mean, how high can you count at this point? How many days that we've been dealing with?
At least 2 weeks, right?
Exactly.
But yeah, as we look at those pictures from Capitola, I was struck by, it was just days ago when that street looked like a raging river.
Yeah.
Right? Now you're just looking at the sandbags, but like you were right, the beach, the pier suffered tremendous damage there. So I'm sure those are all things that Governor Newsom will be addressing shortly. And we actually have so much video from when that was happening in the thick of it, when the storm was hitting it hard in terms of the flooding and the destruction of the wharf and the pier, Capitola Village. It was just heartbreaking, and just the amount of damage that all these hardworking businesses took on.
Absolutely, and I imagine so many of them wondering how quickly they'll be able to get things cleaned up to welcome folks down there once again. I got to point out, Kristen, that shot when we took it, man, looks sunny down there in Capitola.
It does now, right?
But no, they certainly, need to dry out for just a bit again, so they can begin to clear things out and start to rebuild down there, because there is a rebuilding process that'll have to happen for those restaurants, those businesses once again to be deemed safe to be inside of.
Yeah, in fact, we spoke with FEMA Administrator Deanne Criswell in our last hour of coverage and talked a little bit about the release of funds, right? And that's maybe something we can edit so we can show you part of that again later, because there was a lot of information in there about how the emergency declaration will lead to the availability of resources to deploy. But in terms of individual assistance for businesses and such and homeowners, that would take a major disaster declaration, which we're not at that point yet. Hopefully we won't get to that, but that could be coming. And when that happens, it frees up additional resources from FEMA. But take a look at some of the cleanup efforts there in Santa Cruz County.
I mean, look at those windows blown out, no doubt from the intense winds. Paradise Beach with some serious damage right there. You saw those chairs flipped upside down, and this alleyway cordoned off with this caution tape, and a part of the pier right there even seems to have been severed by this intense storm that rolled through. And you see those crews, so many of them, so many folks there. Looks like neighbors helping neighbors, hard at work with the brooms, the shovels, whatever they could grab to go out there and try again and support their neighbors who've been hard hit. We mentioned San Jose Avenue just a short time ago, and this actually, that didn't look too bad. Clearly they got the bulldozers out there and cleared a lot of that debris. But as you mentioned, Kristen, just days earlier, it was impassable. It looked like a total mess down there.
And I wonder if the surf has subsided and will remain that way as we get additional storms the rest of the week. Spencer, does that remain a danger to not get too close? Is the powerful, big, huge surf still a problem there?
Yeah, as long as these storms are building out at sea, Kristen.
I'm sorry, we'll wait for, okay, your microphone's on now.
Oh, okay.
Thank you.
As long as these storms are building out at sea, especially the ones that contain strong winds, they whip up these huge monstrous waves, and that's what causes the rough surf. And we had earlier in the week, we had wave heights between 25 and 30 feet. And when we talk about, well, right now, back to the anchors?
Yeah, because Governor Newsom is about to come out of the building and progress towards where the microphones are set up for the interview after he toured some of the businesses damaged in Capitola. And we do see him, so we're going to take that for you shortly. But in the meantime, you see the San Mateo Bridge there. Traffic is slow, even though it doesn't look like anything's coming down there in the moment.
Yeah, we were actually monitoring some ponding on the San Mateo Bridge a couple of days ago. But now we're taking this live picture right here of Governor Gavin Newsom touring the heart of Capitola. Really hit hard just days ago by these intense storms, but it looks a lot better now. The streets are beginning to be cleared out, and I imagine many of those businesses are also beginning to clean out and try and get back open as quickly as possible.
Yeah, so curious what he's going to say in terms of the assistance and support for businesses down there and also homeowners. I mean, there's just so much damage in the Santa Cruz County area. This may still take a while as you watch what's happening there, because it looks like he's making a point to go into every single one of those businesses on that particular street. And so it may still be a while before he begins talking to us and giving us information, but we'll definitely stay on with you so that as soon as he begins, we'll take that for you live.
I'm looking over to just past Spencer Christian because we're looking at some of the live cameras over here, and we're beginning to see the rain stop in parts of the Bay Area, which is good news as we're beginning to hopefully dry out for just a bit. And hopefully the evening commute for you isn't as bad as the morning commute in, although Spencer Christian has been telling us to watch out for some of that ponding on the roadways. That could still be a major issue, flooding. So just take it slow as you think about getting back home this evening if you're streaming with us on abc7news.com or the ABC7 24/7 streaming app, because there could be some unexpected slick spots out there.
Yeah, but one thing I think is important to point out is don't be lulled into a false sense of safety because, you know, I was about to have lunch, a cookie. That's all I had time for. Not very healthy. And I saw it was very clear, and I thought maybe I will walk out and get something more substantial than a cookie. And then suddenly the thunder showers began, and when it came, it was just voom. Spencer, so quick.
I can show you now. You know, take a look at Live Doppler 7, and you can see exactly what Kristen's talking about. Now, look at the wider image here. You can see how I was talking earlier about the storm breaking up around in these areas. See that? There's not a lot happening down on the peninsula right now, not much over in the East Bay, but look at what's going on in Marin County right now, just north of the Golden Gate. A line of thunderstorms, of lightning strikes moving in there. So even though it kind of looks like it's easing up here, maybe easing up there, but we still have a significant storm with us right now. So you just have to be careful. We were talking earlier about the winds, I'm sorry, about the surf. And I was explaining that when these storms are building out at sea, when one of the components is high winds, those winds whip up monstrous waves. By the way, looking at the flood watch, which has been extended. I mentioned earlier, I thought the National Weather Service might extend this beyond 4 p.m. Now it's saying in the latest National Weather Service discussion about the storm that this flood watch will be with us through the afternoon and into the evening. But once again, those winds at sea when the storms are intensifying whip up these monstrous waves. And earlier in the week, we had wave heights of 25 to 30 feet. Very unusual. When we generally talk about elevated wave heights along the coast, we're talking about maybe 12 to 15 feet. 25 to 30 feet waves are monstrous and, of course, can be deadly. On we go to a look at the exclusive ABC7 storm impact scale. Once again, this storm, even though it appears to be easing up in some spots, is still a moderate level 2 storm for this afternoon and parts of the evening. Scattered downpours, thunderstorms, possible hail, gusty winds. The flood threat obviously remains with us, and there may be more downed trees as well. So we'll start the forecast animation at 3:30. And you can see, even as the storm breaks up into more widely scattered areas of downpours and storminess, it's still a storm of significant impact. So into the evening hours, we'll see it weaken, going to the late night hours, and finally by midnight or so, it should no longer be our storm. But our next storm comes in tomorrow morning. It's also going to be a level 2. And once again, just to refresh your memory, the rainfall totals by 11 o'clock tomorrow night, adding what we've gotten from this storm today to what we expect to get from the storm tomorrow, rainfall totals will be additional rainfall totals from right now. Anywhere from just under an inch in San Francisco to lower totals on the peninsula down to the South Bay and over to the East Bay. But another 1 1/3 inches in Novato, more than 2 1/4 inches likely in Santa Rosa by 11 o'clock tomorrow night, nearly 1 1/2 in Yountville. So it's going to be another wet storm. And the extended forecast animation looks like this. So tomorrow's storm rushes in like this, just as the morning commute, or while the morning commute is underway tomorrow. It continues to push through the Bay Area during the evening hours. Again, another level 2 storm, so it'll have similar impacts to what we got from today's storm. Maybe a slightly less threat of thunderstorms and lightning, but the rain and the wind will be there. And then on Thursday, get a system sort of the trailing edge of a little cold front to our north, may bring some light rain to the North Bay, but that'll be followed Friday by yet another level 1 storm, which should impact the entire region, and then another level 2 storm on Saturday. So we're just not getting much of a break here. Winter storm warning still in effect in the Sierra. That may be extended beyond 4 p.m. as well. And once again, as you look at the 7 days ahead, we've got 3 level 2 storms in the 7-day period. The one that's with us today, one tomorrow, another one on Saturday, and that will still be followed by storms ranked level 1 on our impact scale for Sunday and Monday. So just not much of a break. Just be prepared for more flooding, or at least the threat of more flooding, mudslidding, rock slides, power outages, spinouts. So if you're driving, all of those things are likely to be concerns that will be even elevated as we get into the weekend.
All right, Spencer, thank you so much. We want to take you back live. You can see this picture of the Capitola beach where Governor Newsom is about to speak to us any moment after touring some of the businesses there that saw a lot of damage.
Yeah, and we've been able to show you some of Governor Newsom going practically door to door to these businesses that have been hard hit by storm damage. I'm sure they have been excited to see him so he can see firsthand the amount of damage that has been dealt to their businesses. And hopefully, you know, that's also connected with the state of emergency, right, that he has declared, and freeing up some funds to help those folks to get things back open in Capitola. So we do expect that news conference to happen at any moment right now. And we have continued to look at some of these live cameras. Maybe we could bring some of those up as we await this news conference to give folks a tour across the Bay Area of what we're currently seeing outside right now.
Yeah, this is a live picture for you of I-80 through the Berkeley-Emeryville area, and you can see it almost looks like the sun is starting to peek out after the thunder showers that hit earlier in that area. They also saw some hail in the Oakland Hills especially, and certainly the heavy downpours. But right now, the commute is looking good. Maybe now's the time to go.
Yeah, no kidding.
If you're going to hit that stretch, which is often pretty dangerous and crowded.
Those roads are looking bone dry
Very
right
nice.
now. So
Very
good news
nice.
for folks traveling on I-880 right now.
All right, how about just additional shots of the Bay Area for you? This is San Francisco, the Embarcadero, also looking sunny and dry now after that torrential downpour that kept me from getting a proper lunch earlier.
Yeah, and we saw it firsthand, right? I mean, the rain, the hail, the lightning, we heard the thunder, so a big miss right there.
Now, this location, I'm going to need a little help on. San Rafael, that's right.
Okay.
Spencer was telling us they were kind of moving northward.
Yeah.
So you can see, Spencer, there in San Rafael, they're getting a little wet in the moment.
Yep. Well, let me show you something over here. Close to San Rafael, the Golden Gate Bridge view shows nothing happening right now. A little bit of sunlight is shining through on the Golden Gate. And traffic is moving rather well. It doesn't even look wet there, does it? But it was pouring there not long ago. And a view from Sutro Tower looking out over San Francisco. You know, we had lots of downpours here today. We've still got some clouds lingering, but this view indicates that San Francisco is getting a little break right now, and the skies are getting brighter. So we might even see some sunlight here. But as I pointed out not long ago, even though some areas are getting some breaks right now, and you know, it feels like we're beginning to dry out a little bit, we're still getting storms develop. I mean, clusters and cells developing offshore that are moving onshore, mainly into the North Bay right now. So, you know, that's not good news for folks there, but for the rest of the area, if you need to be in your car driving, this might be a good time to get out during these little sunny breaks and get to wherever you have to go. But there's likely to be more of a scattered storm effect in the late afternoon, early evening hours, so these breaks may not last very long. Okay,
Spencer, just seeing a tweet from Drew Tuma, who is showing us an image of the storm as it tracks through the East Bay right now. Looks like Berkeley is about to get hit any moment right now from these, again, localized but intense downpours that we've been seeing. So, of course, we'll stay on air and give you a look at that as Live Doppler 7 shows us what's happening across the Bay Area. We also see the podium right there where we are expecting Governor Gavin Newsom to share some thoughts with us at any moment right now after he's toured Capitola.
Yeah, it's almost beautiful right there right now with the sun, and Governor Newsom is coming up to the podium right now.
Trying to fit
some final adjustments.
Yeah, one last microphone in there so they can get that sound and carry it back. But again, Governor Newsom should be speaking any moment now.
We'll just hold the shot because he's coming up right now. And all the local officials, too.
Of course, of course. And as we know, Governor Newsom has been touring Capitola, looking at some of those businesses hard hit. Mai Tai Beach, San Jose Avenue really got hard hit. Zelda's on the beach, for example. And it looks like some officials are speaking right now. Let's listen in.
All right, we're still waiting for the audio to be turned up, so we'll turn that up for you as soon as we're able to. But in the meantime, definitely in the Capitola, Santa Cruz County area, lots and lots of damage. Highway 9, they had some road closures and mudslides, and it's just been tremendous flooding as well through some of the little areas like Capitola Village and some of the downtown districts. So the pier was hard hit and had a lot of damage in various chunks of it. So all that will be addressed shortly. We brought you a lot of the video in the past few days. Now, do we have the sound up?
Okay, still working on getting that sound. But again, the governor has been on the ground there for quite some time, touring the hard-hit, damaged area of Capitola and seeing how much work still needs to be done. There's been a lot of cleanup in the days. Obviously, they're getting quite a nice break from the rain right now, but there are still some long days ahead for the folks there as they get prepared to clean up and hopefully reopen and be able to welcome back folks to this really beautiful and scenic area.
Yeah, and one question to be addressed is, what is the state going to do in terms of adjustments to be ready for a future in which this is much more common than rare, right? We are certainly not really used to this type of pounding for this long in our winter months, hence the drought that we are in currently, right? And it's mind-boggling to think about the drought happening at the same time as we're getting this, but in fact it does take a long time to get out of the drought, and not everything that is running through gets saved up as water that we can use later. A lot of it is useless to us.
And that's the issue with being in such a deep mega drought, right, as it's been called. The ground begins to harden up to such a degree that the rain, when it falls, as we so desperately need this water, it doesn't all penetrate into the ground there. Right. So, you know, we're not thinking about it right now, about any fire risk, but that still could be an issue for the upcoming fire season. Hopefully,
that is the silver
lessened.
lining, right?
Yes.
The no fire risk, Spencer, because it is already so wet.
That's right.
And we'll get your mic up. Are we working on that?
There you go.
There you are.
Yeah. You know, I just want to show you something. We were talking about how quickly these areas of storminess could just develop and explode. And I was showing you not long ago some of the areas where it looks like it's drying out a little bit and sun is shining. And those areas would be down on the peninsula and around much of the bay shoreline into the South Bay. But we still have this. Here we go, this line of thunderstorms sweeping through Marin County just north of the Golden Gate, moving now over into the Martinez and Concord and Hercules area. So that area is just not getting a break. Meanwhile, the rest of the Bay Area is experiencing some much calmer conditions than we've had for much of the day. Looking at the current surface winds, you can see that we have some gusts up to 22 miles an hour in Santa Rosa, 17 miles an hour at Half Moon. Oh, 35 at SFO. That's a strong one. But nothing like what we had earlier in the day when gusts were ranging from 45 to 65 miles an hour, and we even had reports of gusts in some of the higher elevations up to 70 miles an hour. Once again, it's worth repeating, on the exclusive ABC7 storm impact scale, this is a level 2 storm, despite the fact that some areas are experiencing some moments of calmness. This is a level 2 storm, a moderate storm, and through this afternoon into the evening hours, scattered downpours are still likely to develop. They can develop very quickly, along with thunderstorms, gusty wind, possible hail. Flood threat, of course, is still with us, and trees may be blown down. Look at the forecast animation starting at 3:30, and by that time, it looks like things will be calming down a bit in the North Bay from the thunderstorms we're seeing right now. But notice, you see another little line of something will move through the Cloverdale area. And but later into the evening, the likelihood grows that the storm will weaken for most of the Bay Area. The downpours will not be so widespread. The winds will be a little bit calmer, and the storm should be out of here around midnight or so, right ahead of the arrival of our next level 2 storm, which comes in tomorrow. And once again, flood watch has been extended now by the National Weather Service into the evening hours. It still says until 4 p.m. there, but that you can ignore that. They just extended it, and we'll try to get a look in a moment when I have a chance to just see how late into the evening or maybe even beyond, the flood watch will be extended. And rainfall totals continue to grow with today's storm, what's left of it, plus what we expect tomorrow by 11 o'clock tomorrow night. Rainfall totals, additional totals, nearly an inch in San Francisco, below an inch along the Bay shoreline down into the peninsula, into the South Bay and the Inland East Bay, maybe a third of an inch to a half inch over there. But up in the North Bay, we'll see totals well over an inch in most locations. And the long-term forecast animation looks like this. Starting 11 o'clock tonight, here comes another level 2 storm for tomorrow, and that's going to produce significant amounts of rainfall. And there'll be occasional wind gusts, maybe not as much instability, so the threat of thunderstorms may be a little bit lower than what we had today, but it'll be a significant storm nonetheless. Thursday, a little trailing edge of a frontal system expected to sweep through the North Bay and produce perhaps some light rain there. Most of the rest of the area should be pretty dry on Thursday, but then we have more storms coming in Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. Kristen, Julian?
All right, we're clear.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Yeah, that's okay. Okay, got it. Got it.
Men and women, the owners of these businesses, said people just showed up, said they just needed one thing, which was gloves, and they took it upon themselves to help clear out the debris and try to get this community back on its feet. And that's the spirit that marks, I think, these moments, and that's the spirit that will, of course, mark many moments as we work our way through situationally these series of storms. As Wade was saying, this we just experienced in Southern California. They're still experiencing the 6th atmospheric river in just a matter of the last couple of weeks, which is remarkable in and of itself until you consider, as he just did, the fact that we're not out of the woods. We expect these storms to continue at least through the 18th of this month. We expect a minimum 3 more of these atmospheric rivers in different shapes and forms, depending on different parts of the state. The magnitude of this is not isolated to smaller communities. It is scaled across the largest state in our union. As Wade also noticed, now we have 17 confirmed, and I underscore confirmed, tragically, just confirmed deaths. 2 more related to lightning strikes and a vehicle accident in the Tulare County area. And I'd be remiss if I didn't underscore, any of us that are parents, and I've got a young son who just turned 6, was 5. We have that young 5-year-old that is missing, and we just pray. I mean, this is, if you have any faith, it's at moments like this, we just pray for a miracle. That young boy, a young child whose lives now in danger, having been missing for some time down in Paso Robles. And so, as I say, that number tragically separate and above from that tragic incident is likely to grow. You've seen those evacuation orders up and down the state of California. As Wade noticed, earlier today we had over 47,000. Today, at least as I stand here at this moment, it's around 34,000 people that are currently under evacuation orders. That number is dynamic and will change. 163,000 people as of a few moments ago still without power in this state, and obviously that will change depending on conditions. The biggest factor as it relates to those conditions is wind. You can see all up and down the state, and we've traveled all up and down the state the wind being a disproportionate factor in terms of downed power lines, impacts obviously on trees. The challenge now is one should not be misled. The acuity of the storms in terms of the number of inches of rain and the intensity doesn't tell the entire story. We're soaked. This place is soaked. And now just more modest amount of precipitation could have as equal or greater impact in terms of the conditions on the ground. And that's why it's incredibly important that everybody is mindful to take seriously the orders or recommendations coming from law enforcement in particular. Caltrans is out there for a reason, with intent, with purpose. When they're saying this is a detour, don't test fate. Just because it looks clear doesn't mean it is clear. We've seen that over and over and over again. Someone makes a dumb decision and everybody else thinks that gives permission for everyone else to do it. 6 inches of rain, that's all it takes. 6 inches of water, that is. You can lose your footing. In a foot of water, your car is spinning out of control. 2 feet, that car is floating down the road. So I cannot impress upon people more the seriousness of purpose to wait this out and get through the next week or so as we battle these storms. Be mindful of local conditions. Be mindful that these storms manifest very differently in different parts of the state, but also be mindful of each other, as the Secretary said, in terms of checking on your neighbors, seniors, the most vulnerable, obviously the unhoused, which is a big and top priority for us, as well as people with disabilities. This state continues to maintain a remarkable partnership with the federal government. I cannot say it enough. I've said it the last few days, from the Chief of Staff, Ron Klain, to the President himself, who reached out today. We could not ask for more. We can't, in fact, ask for anything, literally, more at the moment. They just added, under the presidential emergency declaration, 14 additional counties, now totaling 31 that are in that declaration. Direct assistance will be forthcoming when conditions are right and we've assessed the damage. Incredibly important to assess that damage. We'll make a determination on a major disaster declaration. Our flood control operations center is up and operational, has been for a number of days, as well as our state operations center. We've got conservation corps all throughout the state of California, many more on standby. Search and rescue teams, Coast Guard has been heroic, as one would expect in these circumstances. CAL FIRE, other personnel pre-positioned throughout the state of California. I'm just very blessed to live in this state where emergency mindset is ever present. Don't forget, we're in the 3rd year of the driest drought conditions that we've experienced in recorded history, going back to 1896, and this is happening in the middle of a mega drought that we've experienced all over the western United States. 3 years of the most acute and intense drought, and this is happening. When people say the hots are getting hotter, what more expression of that did we need than Labor Day just a few weeks back? The dries are getting a lot drier the last 3 years, and the wets are getting a lot wetter. This weather whiplash is that new reality. And that new reality brings itself, I think, to a new reality of expectation in terms of how we manage situationally these storms and these challenges, and how we deal with hydrology going forward in terms of stormwater capture, rainwater capture, how we address these floods in terms of banking the water for the future. And I'll just close on that. I just came down from Sacramento presenting my budget, which includes historic resources for new diversion and new groundwater replenishment and other drought and flood preparedness strategies. We'll be looking forward to working with the federal government as well to amplify those efforts and move forward with much more targeted focus on high priority projects and looking at the time to deliver those projects as one of our top priorities as well. To the business men and women, I'll close on this. What California does best is not when you're all around, all the cameras, it's when you're gone. That's when we're at our best. And I say that meaningfully. Having been involved in so many of these wildfires and the post-recoveries, California, we are there for each other after these disasters, the recovery phase, when the hard and stubborn work continues. So I want to reinforce that to the community down here. We're here for the long haul, not just here for this moment. and we look forward to working with all of you to assess the damage, to be sober about the reality and expectations of rebuilding, but be there to the extent we can throughout that process of full recovery. Final point, if you think floods and related weather, these kind of weather conditions are bad, just remind you, in the last 2 years of wildfires, with all that attention, we've had less people die in the last 2 years of major wildfires in California that have died since New Year's Day related to this weather in California. These conditions are serious and they're deadly. And that's why it's so important people take care of themselves and use, in closing, common sense as it relates to what they choose to do over the course of the next number of days until we're out on the other side of this. With that, all of us are here to answer any questions.
Governor, right out there, there's the wharf has got a big hole in it. Is the state going to fund repairs to that? And also, there's down the coast, there's the wharf for the Seacliff cement ship.
Yep.
That's state facility. So are you going to repair that wharf? Are you going to fund repairs to this one? And is the state going to provide funding for helping out the businesses here on the waterfront?
Yeah, part of the wharf is in the business right there.
Yeah.
Quite literally.
Yeah.
Went right through the window. All that's being assessed. All that will be determined. And as soon as that data, all the information assessment, the damage assessments are collected, determinations in terms of federal resources, state, local resources are determined on the basis of the funds that are put into place and the declarations that are approved either at the state, local, and federal level. Then we'll be able to make a much sounder judgment and assessment of what we actually will deliver and how and under what circumstances in terms of timelines that will be delivered.
Governor, is the plan to apply for a major disaster declaration?
The plan is, look, based on the conditions that I've witnessed firsthand, and we've been, as I said, all over at least the northern part of the state, now the Central Coast. We'll be heading down to Southern California. We'll make that determination. I told look, you know, I've been at this 4 years. Usually we have to, knock on the door and, make phone calls to the White House and FEMA. I got a call from Ron Klain saying yes. I said, but I haven't even asked the question. He said, yes. He said, we're there for you. The president did the same. We just can't ask for more. But what I won't do under those circumstances, to your question, is ask for more than is our due. We have a responsibility to be honest in the assessment. So that comes numerically when there's an assessment done, and that assessment will be forthcoming. And if we are due that major disaster declaration, I can assure you we'll be requesting it.
Governor Newsom, I have a question. You went and talked with these businesses out here. Are there going to be additional help for them? I mean, they're struggling. They had 2 years of COVID, so any help?
Oh, we're not walking away. I'm a small business person myself. We just announced the $4.2 billion we've given to 320,000 small businesses in the last year and a half, the state, in direct grants, not loans, averaging $11,000. The magnitude of the damage here is substantially greater. I'm not comparing. What I am saying is that's the magnitude of the state's commitment to help small businesses and address business interruption. Obviously, they're going to have to assess their own insurance liabilities, and all that will be determined. Will be determinative in terms of where we land, but we'll do our best. I don't want to overpromise here. You have to be careful not to overpromise. You leave people wanting and angry. But all of this will be assessed, and obviously the state's intention, as is the federal government, is to help in the short run and the long run to be there for these businesses.
Governor, related to your budget, $8 billion earmarked for water infrastructure projects, does this sort of conveyor belt of storms reemphasize the need to get more water storage going up?
Yeah, and I just want to say that's an understatement. It's $8.6 billion that's in our water package. Those are dollars that are approved and set aside. This is not a promotion or promise. That said, we did promote today the promise of securing another $202 million for flood protection, which was additional resources we're requesting of the legislature. This, by the way, is all on top of the $738 million in the last 24 months that we have approved for flood protection, and $2.4 billion over the last 5 years, $2.4 billion of federal money. Federal money is also critical in this respect. You've got the infrastructure bill that was passed. Thank you, President Biden and the Democratic Party, not to be partisan, but I'll remind you, the Speaker of the House opposed that bill. his state will be the biggest beneficiary of that bill as it relates to our disaster recovery. And I want to thank Congress and the President for the support of the infrastructure bill. We'll be looking at leveraging our state dollars we put up, targeting resources again for high priority projects related to diversion, conveyance, and flood protection.
Do you have a damage assessment yet, like how much this has cost?
No, we're right now in the mitigation and prevention, and I think the prevention component's really important. There was a lot of pre-positioning. One of the you may all know this already, rest of the country may not. This nomenclature on atmospheric rivers is very familiar to all of us in California, but also emanated out of research done in our universities here in the state of California. One of the things that I'm very proud of, and we all should be as Californians, is that we've also funded that research directly, and we've also funded some exploration of sorts with C-130s that went out in advance of these atmospheric rivers and did some reconnaissance. That was funding that came in partnership with the feds, but initiated by the state of California, that allowed us more real-time data than we've ever had to determine a greater understanding of what to anticipate. That allowed us to pre-position the National Guard, Conservation Corps members. I was out there a couple days ago and went in other places where we were doing more sandbagging around the levees and more prevention. Of course, all the prevention in the world, Mother Nature's fury. She bats last, bats 1,000. And that's what we're up against, this new reality. And it's going to require us to be more flexible and more resourceful. But no assessment yet of detailed, and that is determined in real time, but not at this time.
Governor, do you know what, could you outline quickly about where small business owners can go immediately to get a sense of what kind of aid they can expect? Is there a website? Is there a resource?
Yeah, the state's got its resources, the Small Business Association. You got your local resources. We'll make all that. The challenge in these circumstances is not a 311 number for that, and there's so many different numbers in terms of access, including under my statewide emergency proclamation, then under the federal presidential emergency proclamation, and then the direct assistance from FEMA, Small Business Administration. All those things stack up. So we'll get you a sheet. Before I leave, we're going to have a sheet with the most contemporary information where people can find that as a resource, and to make sure that we are cross-checking and cross-referencing that database. So that's all part of our action efforts. Very familiar in the wildfire space right now. We're in the midst of trying to mitigate, and we'll make all that information available as soon as we can. Well, we in Watsonville, right, interestingly, this afternoon we're approving the utilization of farm worker site in Watsonville. It's about 105, 110 units. I think it has capacity of about 400 individuals as a specific response to your question. And making sure that those state dollars that we do put up for farm workers, seasonal and otherwise, are available. As you know, California is one of the unique states that, regardless of federal supports, provides state supports in addition to those housing supports, as well as what we did during the pandemic, providing relief and legal supports, including health care. As you know, no other state in America, regardless of your immigration status, provides that, and we're in the process of fully implementing that. So that's a big part, as you know, of who we are, what our values, where our values are, and as it relates to the farm worker housing, this afternoon we hopefully will get the paperwork done to get that site up and operational specifically. Anybody else?
Have you ever visited Capitola before?
I've been here it was many years ago. I don't want to say, look, remember I was a Santa Clara University kid, so I don't want to say what I did here back in the day. That's where I was going. I shouldn't have gone there, but I love this community. I mean, this is why people, I mean, eat your heart out, Texas. I'm just saying, this is California. It's a special place. The Central Coast, there's nothing like it anywhere in the world, and this is emblematic of that. These businesses, some of the most iconic businesses in the country. This housing, some of the most iconic, quite literally, in the country. And so these communities matter to us, part of the pride and spirit of this state, not just the economic vibrancy of the state, And so we're here with intention and purpose. I came down because of my love for this region, not just for my love of the state. Thank you all very, very, very much for being out here. Thank you, guys. Oh, this one?
Good afternoon. Once again, I'm Karina Nova, live here in the ABC 7 newsroom, and you were watching Governor Newsom's press conference there in Santa Cruz County after surveying damage all caused by the multiple storms that hit that area. We will have much more for you on the weather coverage up next on ABC 7 News at 3, and we're going to continue to cover this all for you at 4, 5, and 6 this evening. So you can stay tuned. You can watch us live on our apps. You can watch us live on air, and of course on abc7news.com. Right now we are going to take a quick break, but in just about 1 minute we're going to start our weather coverage back up for ABC 7 News at 3, so stay tuned in.